Get the latest in Cardinal sports. Benny Rogers brings you the latest in scores and standings throughout the region. Cardinal Weekly starts now.
Welcome to another edition of Cardinal Weekly presented by the Cardinal Sports Network. I'm Benny Rogers, the Sports Information Officer here at the college. It's bowl week for the Cardinal football team, and we're going to be visiting with Coach Brad Smiley in a couple of minutes. But first, let's catch up with the Cardinal and Lady Cardinal basketball teams. The Cardinals, who were the number 2 ranked team in the NJCAA preseason poll, are 12-1 on the season and 2-0 in Region 14 Conference. The Cardinals are coming off a 130-67 thumping of Houston Blaze at Cardinal Gym Saturday night. The Cardinals were scheduled to be on the road Wednesday against San Jacinto and will be at home Saturday against Jacksonville at 6 p.m. In women's basketball, the 3-time defending national champion Lady Cards are 7-1 on the season and 1-0 in conference. Action over the Thanksgiving holiday break saw the Lady Cards defeat Arkansas Baptist 81-41 and Texas Storm 92-34. The Lady Cards were scheduled to play at San Jacinto Wednesday and will be at home Saturday against Jacksonville at 4 p.m. And now let's visit with Brad Smiley, whose 11-0 and 3rd-ranked Cardinal football team will play 9-2 and 10th-ranked Coffeyville Community College at 11 a.m. Saturday in the Champs Heart of Texas Bowl in Copperas Cove. Well, Brad, as we mentioned earlier, the Cardinals are 11-0, ranked number 3 nationally. You're 7-0 versus top 20 teams, averaging 60 points in those games, incredibly. And yet, number 1 East Mississippi and number 2 Iowa Western are going to play in the so-called national championship game, or the declared national championship game. Where are your kids emotionally after getting over the disappointment, I'm sure, of that final poll coming out and didn't move us into the top 2?
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, kids were disappointed that they don't get the opportunity to be representative, in that type of atmosphere, that type of game. The opportunity to go out there and play in the quote-unquote national championship game, a 1 versus 2, just to have that opportunity was disappointing to all of us involved. It took us about, 5 minutes to get over it. You move on because there's nothing really we can do about it at that point in time. And we stated our case. I mean, exactly what you read. We've beaten everybody we're supposed to beat. We weren't looking for quote-unquote style points or anything like that. We were just we played extremely well in those ball games, and we had an excellent year in all 3 phases, and it is what it is, So right now our mindset's just one to finish this thing off the right way. Let's finish this thing 12-0. I mean, we know what happened out there in 1960, 2007. There's a precedent set that there have been some co's, and whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we don't have a chance if we're not 12-0. I know that. So right now it's just about finishing this season off the right way. It's been a great year. It's been a lot of fun. I think we've put our stamp on being one of the best teams that Trinity Valley's ever had, to be the 4th team ever to finish regular season unbeaten, to be the 3rd team ever to be 11-0, and we'd like to be the 3rd team ever to be 12-0 as well.
You got a sophomore class that in 23 games has only lost twice. Talk about that group of young men, what they've meant to the program, and how they've influenced the freshmen this year.
I think really in the same way, what they've brought to the program is what they influence the freshmen. This class has just been a very, very selfless class, and with great work ethic. Everything that as a coach for 20 years in college coaching that you preach, that you want, and that you're trying to get across to these guys, this group really brought it with them when they came in. Just a team first attitude, making sure whatever we were doing, let's put the team first. Let's not worry about what's our own interests are, because that stuff will happen. That stuff will fall into place for us. And there's great workers, guys that have come to practice every day, come to the meetings, come to the weight room, just ready to go to work and ready to take care of their business. I mean, we've had our fair share of adversity, and guys, just like every year, guys make mistakes, they do dumb things. I mean, we're 18 and 19-year-old guys,
Sure.
Young men. That's who we're dealing with. I made stupid decisions when I was that age, and it's just, that's the other thing that they brought, just the ability to just roll with whatever. And it just kind of rolls right off their back. And that's really just kind of been our identity for a couple of years is, oh, we're down 3 touchdowns, no big deal. We're down 4, whatever. We're up big, whatever. Let's just go on. Oh, this guy's hurt. This guy's something. This guy did something. Coach suspended him for a game. Whatever. Next guy step in. Let's go. And that's really been just the fun part of it, because this is such a great reflection on life. that they're pulling from football that they're going to use and apply towards life later down the line. Just, hey, life happens, things get in the way. You move on, you find a way to deal with it, and you make it better.
I remember being in your office on signing day when you signed this group of sophomores as out of high school, and you telling me that day that you thought this group could be something really special. I mean, so you saw it in them back then that the potential was there, I guess, talent-wise. Right. But then did they exceed any expectations you have of them as they move forward? I mean, this is really no surprise to you that.
Well, I mean, it's the surprise is when the guys come together and they decide that this is what they want to be. I think every class that we sign, talent-wise, has the potential to be special class. You're looking at 2012. I point to 2012 a lot, and we led the country. We had 19 guys sign Division I scholarships, 19, and we won 3 football games. That's something as a coach. First and foremost, it's embarrassing. Because you're like, wait a minute, you guys could have competed in the Southland, or the Sun Belt, or Conference USA, you would think, with that much talent, and here you are, you can't put it together. And it's just, we've learned a lot from that season. I have as a coach. Our coaching staff has learned a lot, and we've passed that down to these guys. As you come in, doesn't matter how talented you are, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, and those types of things. It's how you come together and how you play and how you go to work and those types of things. So, it's not surprising, because every year on signing date, I'm convinced that's the class that's going to come in and go 24-0. And we've got a group of freshmen that are convinced that's what they're going to do now. But it was a special class from that standpoint, but it's the personalities when you get to know them. Because unfortunately, we don't get to recruit on the level and the scale of the Division I, where we're out every single week and we're meeting them and we're in person and we're talking to, there's some chances we take on some guys, and we got very fortunate. Of course, there's a good group of players that have come through here right now in this sophomore class that are all conference players that were walk-ons in our program that we didn't recruit at all. I'll sometimes go back to those recruiting lists and I'll look, like, we thought this guy was the answer and this guy was the answer. They're not even here anymore. They didn't even make it past the first semester. And then you look up and these guys that we count week in, week out on, that are out there making plays, and they're all conference, and guys that are a big piece of the cog that holds this whole thing together, were unrecruited walk-ons who you got a little lucky.
Yeah. It's not an exact science.
No, it's not an exact science. Never has been, never will be. And some of our most prized possessions in recruiting have ended up being flops, guys who don't even make it to campus, and it's just the way it is. But it is unique, and it's just each and every year, and it's just great how the story unfolds for this sophomore class. And you got to think, they came in with 50 freshmen last year, and here we are, we're down to low 20s this sophomore class, including some new guys that transferred in this year and transferred in the spring. I mean, who knew? Who knew what Kyle Postman was going to be? Those types of things. You figured, you thought you'd know what Devontae Fields was going to be, but who knew Kyle Postma, Gerard Evans? He's not a sophomore, but it's just, these are new guys that came into the program last spring.
Sure. You mentioned the freshmen. Talk about the freshman class this year and the contributions they've made and how important they've been to this season.
These guys have been great. I think they've taken a lot from the sophomore class as far as team first. But we started to recruit to that as well. We're making sure, I'm on the guys when we're having recruiting meetings. I'm like, so make sure we're talking to the coaches about what kind of practice guy is he? What kind of guy is he? Do you like him? Do you love this kid? That's a big thing. I mean, a lot of times you get caught up in the talent, and you're watching guys on film and you're like, ooh and ah, and he's long and he can run and he can this and he can that. But, we've gone through that process and it was unsuccessful. What we need to find out are, who are these guys that the coach, do you love this kid? Is he a guy that is fun to be around? Is he fun at practice? A big part of what we've done is guys that we brought in this program, they love football. They love football. They want to go practice. They want to go play. They get up for the games. If you spend your time having to, come on, you got to go. And that was a big part, of some years past when we didn't have a successful year. It's like we're having to beg the guys to go out and practice and prepare for a game, which you only get 9 guarantees. You work all year long. You work month after month. We start off season in January and February and March and spring ball and summer workouts and all through August 2-a-days, and you only get 9 guaranteed chances. So how is it, we shouldn't be having to convince these guys to go out and play. So I'd rather just recruit the guys that love the game. They love being around each other, so they're going to go out and have fun every day. And it keeps everything working together and keeps everything moving forward.
Are there any ways this team, it sounds funny because you're 11-0, are there any ways this team has exceeded expectations this year for you?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's so many unknowns at this level. So many unknowns in football and sports in general. You never know at the beginning of the season how things are going to unfold. Guys, the same reason I've stopped putting guys on posters and putting guys on media guides because, you look back through and the guys that we're putting on media guides and posters, the returning guys with the most experience, they're getting injured, they're hurt, they don't have the year they have, whatever. So it's just a matter of let's make this about Trinity Valley. Let's make this about Cardinal football and bring the right attitudes in. And, obviously there's some spots that we thought were going to be question marks. You look at going into media day this year, and we were picked to win the conference and all these things. But my big concern at that time was I've got one returning letterman at defensive line or two returning lettermans at defensive line. And we're in trouble here. If these freshmen don't come in and compete right off the bat, we're counting on some guys that this year we got a chance to redshirt because, we got 3 guys after media day that were Division I guys, Division I, 2 transfers, and really 3 Division I transfers that came in right after media day. So, obviously, the defensive line, we knew we were good in the back 7, and all of a sudden you get those 3, and here you go. Well, we're sitting on a great defense now. I think, what we've gotten at the quarterback position this year has exceeded my expectations. I felt we were going to be pretty good. I think what we've gotten from our 1 and 2 quarterback were great. And, of course, we thought Ford Childress was the answer in January when he enrolled in school, and because of injury, he wasn't allowed to play. Sure. So, obviously there's great surprises right there, no question about it. I think our offensive line is being what we thought they were going to be, very good, one of the best in the country, if not the best. The freshman receivers were going to have to come in and play and give us great. They've done that. Our sophomores have done a great job, but and it really put up some great numbers. But our freshmen have come in just from the work standpoint, being extremely physical, and Emmanuel Harris and Xavier Haley, Philip Baptiste. These freshman receivers have been so physical, the run block. They're in the selfless. They don't care. Let's go. Andre Wilson. All these guys are going to be really good down the line, but you're not hearing their names a bunch right now because, the ball's in some other people's hands. But, our running back core, obviously that changed. The 3-headed monster we felt like we were going into, during the blend game, we get the torn ACL with Jeff Harris, and, which is disappointing because he was on fire to start the year. Markel McNack goes out before the Kilgore game, so before game 4 with an injury, with an ankle sprain, and he's high ankle sprain, tries to come back blend, can't really go, really doesn't come back full until the last regular season game. So, Lopez Luis ends up carrying a bunch of the load that year. DJ Breedlove, freshman, comes in and does a great job for us. Dylan Humphrey, he does a good job, and then he's out with some injury stuff. So, just, the surprises to me are the freshmen that you weren't counting on, or the sophomores that you may not have been counting on, kind of stepping into the limelight and getting it done. And that's always a lot of fun. Again, one of those things that just kind of, when you look at when it's all said and done and you got the plaque there with the championship on it, and you're looking at the team picture, you look at all the little stories of how that whole season unfolded, and it's a great story.
What are your thoughts on this very good Coffeyville team that you're about to face?
I tell you what, Coach Flores has done a great job. Completely different team than what we played last year at the beginning of the season in 2013. He has completely new coaching staff other than himself. And with that, it's a whole new attitude. It's just the way they play the game. They've got good players. They had good players last year. They're a talented crew, no question about it. Big receivers, good running back. The left side of their offensive line is as good as we'll see. The defense, altogether, they're what they're doing on defense is they're giving you a little bit of everything. You're going to see even front, odd stack, and they're going to keep you guessing and try to get you to where you're making mistakes. And along with that, they're really big and physical. They've got an outside linebacker who's 6'4", 270, Ricky Parks, who he's all conference first team there in the Jayhawk. They're 3 technique, 4 eye, and is an all conference performer. They've got linebackers. Their secondary, they love their secondary. They get up and press everybody they play. We've got 4 games on them, and they're playing against really good football players, and they're getting up in their face, and they're pressing them and locking them down. So just the whole attitude they're playing with right now, I'm very impressed with what Aaron's done, and because he's really turned that thing around, and those guys playing fast, they're playing physical. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Before we let you go, Brad, how would a win Saturday impact next season for the Cardinals?
Well, really, I've always felt like the bowl games are really for moving forward. You celebrate your year, you've won the championship, and it's really just about moving forward. It's about getting 3 extra weeks practice with your freshmen. I mean, you basically get an extra spring ball. We're the only team playing in a bowl game right now. Everybody in our conference has already dipped the helmets, put up the equipment. It's over with. And we're still out there practicing. We're out there working with our freshmen. They're getting extra time, extra work. So it's a springboard into not only recruiting, because you feel great about things the way you're going, but a springboard into spring ball with your freshmen. And it's just a great way to send those sophomores out on a high note. This year's a little different because you're 11-0. And you have a chance, I would think it'd be a little different. If you're 10-1 and there's no chance you might, this thing. Right now it's about, hey, can we finish? Go national champs? Can we be a national runner-up? How is this thing going to unfold? Can we finish 12-0? I mean, that's huge. I have been a college coach in 20 years. I've never been 12-0. I've never been 11-0. I've never been in this. It does not happen very often. I mean, it's been, 67 years of football at Trinity Valley, and it's only happened twice. So for the opportunity to be the third one there, and this team getting a chance to, and this coaching staff, you get a chance to put your stamp on this program throughout the history, this school, this college throughout history, this conference is one of the great teams to ever walk through here, regardless of whatever your end ranking is and whatever you ended up. Hey, we went 12-0, and nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can say, you can't tell me, you can't tell our team we're not national champions. If we win Saturday, we're 12-0. And they're just say, well, you can't tell them they're not because they just didn't get a chance to prove it. Because I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind that if they got an opportunity to face East Mississippi or Wild Western, we'd win. And there's a lot of those thoughts around the country, including the coaches at those schools. They know, I've talked to them, they know what kind of team we've had. They've seen us on film. We were getting first place vote nationally from a football coach, not an AD, from the guys who know it and who've seen us on film, have got our first place votes for the nationals, for the rankings and things like that. So for me, it's just a way to kind of cement all that in. Any argument that we've had, all our guys that were out there saying we should be in this game and we should be in that game, and man, I wish we just had a chance. Well, we don't have an argument if you don't win this Saturday. That argument's over with. It doesn't matter. Yes, it's going to be great to send this sophomore class out with a win. It would be great to finish up, for those guys, only 2 losses in a 2-year period, taking the field 23 times and only losing 2. That's pretty big. Yeah. That doesn't happen very often. There's lots of things it cements, but number one, it cements you are exactly what you've been telling people you are all year long, and what the coaches felt like they were seeing and the voters didn't see or did see. You're just cementing that, yes, you are the program that they think. And obviously you get a chance to start high up last year. But we started preseason number 4 this year. So, I mean, it's just a testament to East Mississippi and Iowa Western. They started 1-2. They've gone 11-0. I get it. I mean, the kids, we get it. We're mature enough to understand what have they done to deserve to get bumped down. Yes, we've put a heck of a resume out. Yes, we've beaten more ranked opponents. Yes, we're the champion of the strongest conference in the country. But they haven't done anything to deserve getting knocked either, other than going 11-0. So we get it. It's just it's part of it. It's one of those years. Yeah.
Well, Brad, we want to thank you for stopping by, and of course, we wish you and the Cardinals the best of luck Saturday in Copper's Cove, and where it's going to be a lot warmer than it was last year.
Thank goodness.
That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Cardinal Weekly. We'll be back next week for the final Cardinal Weekly of the 2014 fall semester. For the Cardinal Sports Network, this is Benny Rogers reporting.